So welcome everybody. Welcome to our second public talk of the season. We're very happy that you're here and you online too. We're sorry if there was a discrepancy in time in the time. There is a slip. Some people thought that maybe it was at 5:30, so we're sorry. We're going to go ahead with the official time, nevertheless, and accept people when they come in. Just a note before we go forward. So Rangjung Yeshe Institute is a kind of a hybrid academic place where we bring together traditional teachings with Kempos and Rinpoches, and we have the academic side of studies. So we have language classes, which are excellent, apparently some of the best in the world. So please, if you're interested in learning languages, please come. We also have some great academic courses, MA, PhD programs. So if you want to know more, please consult our website. This coming month in October, there'll be 3 more public talks on the 15th, on the 22nd, and on the 29th. 2 of them will be on Buddhism and Islam. One from Daniel McNamara, who is a professor here, and one from Ershad Nurzai, who is a PhD candidate in Helsinki. So, and he's actually from Afghanistan, so he's looking at languages and how Buddhist terminology has actually influenced poetry in Islam. So that's interesting to know, and we see the influence back and forth. That's in October 22nd, and in October 29th, there is Lama Kunga Sangpo, who will talk about Sanskrit mantras within the Tibetan sadhanas. So he's a aging monk here and lots of experience. So we're really happy that he accepted to come and give a talk. And lastly, in November, there will be a short course on translation in the age of AI. So if you're interested in translation and how AI is actually influencing the whole of the field, please check out announcement coming. Now, today we are very pleased, and this is a long coming at almost 1 year.
Or it's March.
In March, that I met Christine here, actually at a public talk, right?
It was.
And we came to talk, and I heard that she was working on Tara, and especially on the music of Tara, so of Tara Pujas. So I invited her because I was really intrigued, partly because of her journey. Christine Blice-Baum is a PhD candidate in religious studies at US. She currently researches the music of Green Tara Sadhana in Nepal. She holds advanced university degrees in music, theology, and has served as a chaplain in the US Air Force. So you see a lot of different experience there. She is an ordained Lutheran pastor with over 39 years of service and teaches meditation. So please welcome to our RYI public lectures.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your warm welcome, Dr. Denis. And Tashi Delay, namaste, greetings to you all. Thank you for being here for this talk and the sharing of my research. As you can see that my title is The Songs of Green Tara, Tibetan Buddhist Ritual Music of the Nuns of Thrangu Tara Abbey. And this picture on the opening screen is the painting of Green Tara that is on the wall of Thrangu Tara Abbey in the shrine hall. And this was repainted after the earthquake in 2015. And all of the Taras adorn the shrine hall all the way around. And so when you walk into that shrine hall, you are surrounded by Tara. So just to share a few quotes from some of the nuns that I've worked with, both at Tek Choling and also at Thrangu Tara Abbey. And Ani Dechen, who's a senior nun over at Tek Choling, said, music is a compassionate offering for the benefit of all beings. And then Umse, Ani Dolkar Lamo, at Thrangu Tara Abbey, said, music in our rituals is an offering to Lord Buddha and all the bodhisattvas to pray that they show compassion to all. And so I came to this with that as part of the background. And that is the nuns at Thrangu Tara Abbey in ritual. So just a few acknowledgements, if you'll bear with me. First of all, Dr. Denis, I so appreciate you inviting me to be part of this program. You talk about chance meetings. In March, I was here for my second trip, and I thought, oh, I want to see RYI. I knew about RYI. It's good seeing you. And so I wandered down the street and wasn't quite sure where it was. You know, you look at maps, and it's really difficult to say, what alley do I go down to find this? And there was a nun walking down the street. She was Western, so I took the chance that she could speak English. And I said, can you help me find RYI? She said, oh, I'm going right there for a class. And so she ushered me in here. And at that time, there was a public gathering up on the second floor meeting. And I just waltzed in. And that's when I met Dr. Denis. I met Andy Halloran and made myself at home, but I felt at home at RYI. So that's how that was the first time, yes. So I was really happy to do that. Secondly, to my advisor, Dr. Miroj Shakya, who is the chair of the Department of Religious Studies at the University of the West in Rosemead, California, who encouraged me in this. Thirdly, Anne Shaftel, who's an art conservator and founder of the Treasure Caretaker Training Program, was able to introduce me to some individuals that one led to another. It's all about relationships, you know. And she introduced me to Dr. Karma Sangbo, who is the principal at the Himalayan School, SMD, here in Bodha, and who in turn took me to Thrangu Tara Abbey to meet Kempo Chogal, who's the abbot there, and in Swayambhu. So that was the process of that. And then to Ani Dechen, who's the senior nun at Tek Choling Nunnery, and Ani Jamba, who is one of the most senior nuns there, who gave me the Green Tara mantra transmission. So that was a very important thing. And then to Umse, Ani Dolkar Lamo and Ani Sonam Dolkar, assistant Umse, for meeting with me and helping me to understand about the music of Green Tara and the sadhana. And then to Birat Raj Bajracharya, who has worked with me translating, which has been really a wonderful thing because my Tibetan is just a little. And then to Lama Kathy Wesley, who is at the Columbus, Ohio, Karma Kagyu Choling Temple, which is only about 3.5 hours from where I live in Charleston, West Virginia, that I have someone who is able also to guide me right in my home area. So what I do want to say is just a disclaimer that my study that I'm doing is not complete yet. And I'm hoping to get the dissertation written this year. And so I'm still doing parts of it as I come along. So I take full responsibility for any of the inaccuracies that I present today, and I beg your forgiveness for that. So now I want to show you my other office. This is the pipe organ, and I don't know if you can see at the very bottom is the console that I play. And if you don't know anything about pipe organs, all of these pipes sound a lot of music. I'm going to be sharing some things later about this. But this is in Charleston, West Virginia, and I have retired from active ministry in the Lutheran Church. However, and my pastor is online right now, so he's listening to me. I am serving as the organist for the church in my retirement, and it's a wonderful opportunity. And for over a half a century, I have had literal hands-on as a church musician and experienced Christian sacred music. And over the years, it has centered around faith and music. And so when it came time to decide on a dissertation topic, it was Dr. Shakya who said, well, with your music background, Christine, why don't you consider doing something with Buddhist music? And that led me to Nepal. Oh, and I do want to make one other comment for acknowledgments. I want to acknowledge my dear husband, Mark, who is also a Lutheran pastor. We met at seminary and served throughout the years, but he has been my trusty assistant. Oftentimes with the online classes, he would listen, and so he knows a lot about Buddhism. Oh my goodness. Somebody's talking to us. So, this is Thrangu Tara Abbey, the outside. And so this journey led me to Thrangu Tara Abbey. The abbey was founded in 1992 by the very venerable Khenchen Thrangu Rinpoche for Tibetan Buddhist nuns in the Karma Kagyu tradition. And presently there are over 230 nuns at Thrangu Tara Abbey. And so this is where I began some of my field work. So I wanted to share with you just the process, especially for you students as you start moving on into doing your theses and dissertation work, just to see how this all came together. And so you see that there have been 3 field work trips to Nepal, the first last September, and then in March, and then again in right now, as I'm finishing it up. And then I established relationships with key partners and received permission to observe and record the rituals because, as you know, in some of the abbeys and the monasteries, they asked for no photos to be taken, but they were so generous at Thrangu Tara Abbey, allowing me to both record and to video what was going on there. And so then after, I observed and recorded the rituals, and I noted questions that I was able to take back to the Umze and to Khenpo just for clarification, because some of the things were very new. I look back at my notes, and now I know the answers to them by my reading, my research, and talking to them. But at that time, it was like, what is that? You know, and it's always good to have that sense of exploration and examination so that you can look at what is it that's happening? What is the meaning behind this? And then I scheduled interviews with key partners, and part of that was making sure that everyone signed research recording releases so that I could use their comments. And I also used a translator during that time. One of the things, as part of the asking for permission to record and interview people, is I will not be using any names in my dissertation. I will only be talking about the comments so that confidentiality is kept. And it's amazing. I've concluded my interviews at this point in time, and I think I still want to do some interviews of the folks in Columbus, Ohio, because I want to get that Western perspective on the Green Tara. They observe that every Sunday, and so I want to do that too. And then I've reviewed the recordings, and I've begun transcribing the chants and analyzing the musical elements of the sadhana from a musical perspective. And keep in mind that I'm Western trained, and so I'm actually transcribing into Western notation some of the things that I've been listening to. And I've concluded my interviews with the nuns, and so that is complete. So now it's moving into more of a writing stage, compiling my notes and the like. So why Green Tara and the significance for scholars briefly. As I met with Khenpo and Umze Anidolkar Lamo, I realized the deep significance of Green Tara, not just for the Tibetan Buddhist community in general, but particularly for the nuns at Thrangu Tara Abbey. In the morning, the puja is performed at 5 a.m. before breakfast. And so also for myself as a female clergy person, I was intrigued with the idea of the empowerment of women through Green Tara. As I began my study, what became clear to me as I started accumulating my resources was that many scholars have looked at the background and history of Tibetan Buddhist ritual, the texts, and the like, but very, very few have explicitly studied the actual music other than describing the sounds and the sounds of the chant and the instruments. There is an exception in the late 1970s. Ter Ellingson and Peter Crosley Holland were two of the scholars that actually addressed the music. But keep in mind, at the end of the 1970s, they were coming very much from a Western perspective as they looked at it. Now, the recent exception, and I'd like to point this out to you, is Dr. Jeffrey Kupchak. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. He has done an extensive study of Chu, and he has transcribed most of the music. And I've had some conversations with him, and that's been very, very helpful in my work. And so also then my fieldwork centers around ethnographic and phenomenological study with the nuns, as well as the transcribing of the chants. So I have not found other scholars that have actually done this apart from Jeffrey Kupchak, who has done the Chu ritual. And so just a little background, I'm probably singing to the choir, as we would say in the West, the significance of Green Tara in Tibetan Buddhism. Green Tara is famous for both her enlightened activities and for protecting her devotees from all of the 16 fears. Tara also connects her followers to the divine feminine, to the primordial energy, as Rachel Wooten would say. Now, there are many, many legends about how Green Tara has appeared over the years, and those are collected, and how she became the mother god, the great mother goddess. And she was, as Venerable Bokar Rinpoche says, princess in time before time, Princess Wisdom Moon, who at the taking of the Bodhisattva vow was advised by male monks to pray to be reborn male. To which she replied, and I have this here, a translation, here, no man, no woman, no I, no individual, no categories, man or woman are only denominations created by confusion of perverse minds in this world. I think she rocks. Her promise being, as long as samsara is not emptied, I will benefit beings appearing in a female body. And so I love that quote. So a little more of who is Green Tara, or Droma as she's known in Tibetan. The major canonical source for Green Tara is the ritual compendium, the Tara Mulakalpa, which is the Tara's basic ritual text. And Susan Landesman, a scholar, has done a thorough translation of this, and that's quite amazing. Green Tara is known as the mother of all Buddhas. Yam Chen Mo, welcome, welcome. A nod to the Prajnaparamita. She is called the Great Mother because she embodies the ultimate meaning of the Dharma, the ultimate meaning of emptiness, Tongpa. Like a mother in the sense that she is the source from which Buddhas obtain enlightenment and bodhisattvas obtain realization. So Droma means in Tibetan, she who saves. She's a protective goddess, a bodhisattva, and a Buddha. She is known as the savioress, she who liberates, the one who brings us across. She is the goddess of compassion and love. She is swift and courageous, the daughter of the world's sovereign, and is poised for action. So when you see Green Tara, most often her right leg is down, ready to move into action quickly. And so Tara is mostly a phenomenon of Northern Buddhism, one of the most important deities in North India at the time of Atisha's departure for Tibet. She is one of the most important goddesses in Tantric Buddhism, regarded often as the consort of Avalokiteshvara. She was born from Avalokiteshvara's tear, but is worshipped in her own right as savior. She follows a tradition of strong female role models in Tibetan Buddhism, and also strong female role models beginning as far back as the Vedic period, 2nd millennium BCE, and sustained through early Mahayana times up to 400 CE. Because Tara means star in Sanskrit, it is generally unproven, even though thought, whether she was venerated from the ancient star cult that guided seafarers across dangerous waters, hence the maritime Silk Road. Her green color is associated with the quality of enlightened activity to benefit others and awakened activity and active compassion. Green represents the active aspect of her compassion and protection in Tibetan Buddhism. Her mantra is Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha, which means loosely, I prostrate to the liberator, mother of all victorious ones. And so now I'm going to play for you the Green Tara mantra as sung by the Umse and the assistant Umse at Thrangu Tara Abbey. And then I'm going to play for you an organ transcription of the same mantra and see if you can sense the similarity, but also the difference as I bring it into a Western mode. Could you hear a little similarity? Yeah, it's And that's the organ at Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church in Charleston, West Virginia. So just a little bit about the sadhana. The title of the sadhana in English, and this comes from the Karma Triana Dharma Chakra in upstate New York in Woodstock, is entitled The Mind Treasure from the Profound Drop of the Droma Tara, called the mandala ritual adorned with the essence of the two accumulations. Doesn't that sound like a Tibetan title? It's so beautiful with all of that. So authored in the 19th century, the sadhana is a terma, which is a mind treasure, a sacred teaching hidden by Guru Rinpoche to be found later, at a later time. Discovered by the Tirtan, the treasure revealer, Organ Chogur Dechen Lingpa, then given to his teacher and peer, Jamgon Kontro Lodro Teye, was given the terma and composed the text that we have. And I actually, after, if you'd like to see, I've got the text that has the Tibetan, the transliteration and the English translation that they use in the States. And so he was able to put this sacred terma teachings into a sequence that is both beneficial and easy to follow. In fact, this second time that second time I've come back to hear the ritual, I was able to follow it. And even though I've only had the summer intensive course for beginning Tibetan, so it's easy to follow, I would say. And I want to quote Monica Thunder, who got her MA here, and now she's a PhD candidate at UC Berkeley. She said, Control's dynamic interpretation of emptiness and Buddha nature integrates tantric methods with esoteric contemplative practices. So I wanted to give a bow to her since she's one of your alumni. The sadhana is described by Rachel Wooten this way. She says, through directed intention, embodied visualization, and chanting, we engage our whole being to invoke the energy and the power of a meditational deity, the enlightened female Buddha Tara, in order to access and activate her positive qualities within us. And then Venerable Ringu Tulku Rinpoche says, the main Dharma practice is an experiential understanding, and I think that's so important that it's an experiential understanding of how things are and the breaking of our habits of useless suffering, our habit of snowballing our problems and suffering. And so we change our way of seeing things to see things in a purer way. And so the primary elements of the sadhana I have just here very briefly. This doesn't include everything, but we've got the beginning is the refuge in bodhicitta, the offerings, the 7-branch prayer, and many other things happen in that. The second part is the actual practice with the visualizations and the reciting of the 21 praises to Tara. In the sadhana, it happens 3 times. The first time it is sung twice. The second time it's sung 3 times, and the final time is 7 times. That's where I get a little bit lost in the text sometimes when I'm following it. And so finally, the third part is the dedication of merit. And part of the Green Tara practice is the use of mudras with the offerings, the 8 offerings. And I was able to ask Ani Tashi Droma at Thrangu Tara Abbey to just do them. And so I'll play this for you. And so, of course, oops, I have to remember my technology here. So the water for the mouth, water for the feet, flowers, incense, light, perfumed water, food, and music. So the final offering is music. And this is what really attracted me to the ritual, to realize that music is seen definitely as an offering. And so now, on to the musical observations that music is definitely an offering in the Green Tara and in any of the other rituals too, for that matter. Jeffrey Kupchak, who has done the extensive study of the Chö practice, has translated and transcribed the music of the Chö song poems. And he says this, that within them are several compositional techniques. And he is also a Western trained musician. He's an ethnomusicologist, such as tone painting, melodic phrasing, sequences, and rhythmic ostinati. Melodies and rhythms in Chö enhance the meditative process by eliciting specific emotions that they aid the practitioner experiencing transformative insights. And then this quote that I have, I think is just so important as I look at this. The music functions not as a secondary aesthetic gesture. I think a lot of Westerners would probably look at it as being sort of an aesthetic add-on, a mere accompaniment to the written poetry, but in fact can be considered as a primary text and a primary conduit for the participants' development of specific emotional states and visualizations that can lead to meditative insights. So the power of this offering is so important to the ritual. And I'm brought back to my own background and remembering that the great reformer Martin Luther in the Western tradition said, next to God, the word of God, I give music the highest praise. And perhaps one of the ways I was intrigued with Green Tara is I come from a tradition that values music not as just an add-on, but as an essential way of sharing the truths. So, and then the music, as far as is in Sakya Pandita's treatise on music, he lists vocal and instrumental music as being part of the ritual. And in the Tibetan tradition, this includes wind and percussion instruments. Now, notice that it doesn't include stringed instruments because these are usually used with more of the folk. I should be asking some of our monks here that more of the folk music. And so, and then music is one of the 7 offerings. And the role of the umse is to lead the singing. And I spent some time watching her this last Monday when I observed the ritual again. And for an hour and a half, this woman must have incredible endurance to lead this entire ritual, the sadhana, for that long. But she's also cueing the musicians. Wow, that's some weather out there. And so, watching that, I have great respect for the umse as well as all of the musicians. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about instruments. Are we doing okay on time? Yeah, okay. Now, as far as the melodies, the chant melodies, because I've been listening to these and analyzing them, they most often use the pentatonic scale, which is a 5-note scale that's very prevalent in Asian music. And it's normally monophonic, although you've got some variations as they're singing. Sometimes they're not quite singing, in unison, but that happens, which is a single melody. But there are traditions within Tibetan music, such as Tuvan throat singing, which uses the whole, I want to say the oral cavity is used to produce the very, very low sound that produces overtones. So you're actually singing more than one line at a time. There's also an incidence of, in rural Tibetan, in parts of China, that that actually sing polyphony. The male voice starts, the female voice follows, and its polyphony is 2 or more musical lines at once that create a harmonic effect. So that's sort of interesting. Extremely rhythmic. the music of this ritual, especially the use of bells, drums, cymbals, sometimes in triple meter, sometimes in duple meter, and the tempo. And I think this is so interesting, is can be extremely fast, but then slower and more melodic and at a more moderate tempo. When I was meeting with the Umse Dorkar Lama this week, I said, you guys start going and I can't follow, but it's so fast, it's almost like listening to rock music at the end. And I did ask one of my instructors for my Tibetan course about why is it sung so fast? And he said, well, the nuns have things to do. They've got to go to Shedra. They've got other duties and everything. You got to get through it fast. And then Ani Tashi Dromuth said, we know it so well, we can just do it fast. And so, I mean, a very practical reason. So, but it's fun to be able to talk to the nuns to get their perspective on that. So now, moving on to ritual instruments. And I've got that silly, I don't know what those symbols are, that who knows. But the vajra or dorje and the bell or the drilbu are very important ritual instruments in the Tibetan tradition. The vajra or thunderbolt is held in the right hand and it signifies wisdom, sharap or prajna. The bell is held in the left hand and it signifies compassion, karuna, and ningje. The dorje and the drilbu represent the tantric union of both male and female. And it's used throughout the ritual. And I was observing that this last week. But very important ritual instruments. But then there is the orchestra. And I thought I would play this clip of the Green Tara orchestral music that happens. And I'll say a little bit more about the instruments that are used in this. But to the Western ear, it sounds a little bit different. But after spending some time with this, I'm hearing what's happening. And so you've got wind instruments, you've got the conch shell that's being played, but what is absent in the Green Tara ritual are the duncheon, the long telescoping horns. Those are used with the Malakala ritual. So listen to, oops. Okay, if I speak just before the next one. You could hear the drums, the different cymbals, the bell being the drobu being played, as well as the double reed instrument that's used and the conch horn. So now, this was my tutorial on how to play the damaru, which is a two-sided drum. So what is that? So I tried, and I was hopelessly deficient in playing a damaru. I bought a damaru so that I can practice a little bit, but it is very tricky to play, and especially ringing the bell with the other hand. It's like playing the organ and using your feet and your hands all together. So I should be able to do that. But the thing about the damaru is that it produces the sound of emptiness, impermanence. And the two sides of it represent conventional truth and ultimate truth within the Tibetan tradition. And the clappers symbolize the ultimate nature of the mind. So now moving on to some of the other instruments, I'll say before I play them, the duncheon is the long telescoping horn and that uses a cupped mouthpiece, very similar to what's used with a trombone or a baritone horn in the Western world. The galing is like a sham. It uses a double reed, very similar to an oboe, and it's got keys that can be played. And then the kangling is the thigh bone trumpet that in some monasteries is actually made from a human thigh bone, but this one is made from metal. Oh dear, but we're still on. Just a little ambiance, I guess. So, and the thigh bone reminds the practitioners of impermanence. So I'm going to play these. And one of the things, my husband Mark and I were at Namo Buddha over the weekend, and it was the end of the term, and things were a little different. And at one point in the morning, on Sunday morning, some of the monks were out on this terrace, and they were playing the gyaling. There were four of them, and watching them, there's a continuous flow of air. I don't know if you noticed that the Umse, as her cheek puffed out, that she was taking the breath and keeping that continuous air going. And if you've ever played a double reed instrument, as Mark likes to say, he's a recovering oboist. He played oboe in school. It's a very, that's a lot of energy that's going into that. And then the duncheon and the other brass instruments with the cupped mouthpiece, the sound is made by buzzing the lips. And again, that takes a lot of energy. But, and most of these instruments in the orchestra, there are two of each. And so you see that. And then I just wanted to give you just a look at the Green Tara mantra as I put it into Western musical notation. And I've actually transcribed about 5 of them. I just wanted to share the mantra at this time and also mention that the mantra is different than when I went to Tech Choling. They have a different melody, so that's going to happen at different times. The melodies are somewhat central or common with some of them, but others not so much. So, but then after listening to the orchestra, and I really would like to hear what the monks have to say about this, since they're very imbued with this, that I improvised on the organ with the help of somebody playing a drum and the bell. And this is my interpretation, and it's an improv of the orchestral music. And so this is sort of a little treat. Does the sound anything? I was trying to use the pedal to emulate the large drum. But that was just an improv. I think I'm going to listen to it again. Yes. Yeah, and Dr. Denise said it reminded her of Indigenous American type of music too, because I use the open fifths and just that rhythmic piece. So there were people in church after the service that day, and we're having a lot of fun playing that. So thank you for listening. And then this is just some of the references that I've used. This is only a handful of the references that I've been working with, but for this particular talk, these are the ones that I included. And then finally, this quote by the Dalai Lama. It's actually in Ter Ellingson's dissertation, 1979, The Mandala of Sound. And I think it's just a lovely way of concluding this presentation. Filling the sky, earth, and the space in between, let passionate melodies, bone trumpets, and cymbals resound. To give delight to the protectors of religion, and their followers offer brilliant music like the roar of 1,000 thunders, like we heard tonight. And so with that, I really appreciate your wonderful attention and welcome any questions or comments that you might have.
What's an open fifth?
Oh, an open fifth. Okay. Okay. A chord is usually made up of 3 tones, and they're made up of a major fifth and or a minor fifth, or a third, excuse me, and 2/3. So you take that middle third out, and you have this open sound, and yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. 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 So you don't have the third, and so it gives us in normal harmony, you would always have to have the third. Exactly. It could be either that minor third or the major third as the first one.
Thank you so much for an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
My question actually goes back to one of the very first things you pointed out, which was the 2 nuns talking about the music as an offering. And this may be slightly outside of your purview, in which case I apologize. But one thing I've noticed is that when it's groups of female practitioners or nuns, there is more of, we could say, a singing element to the chanting, while when it's a mixed gender group or exclusively monks, it is less musical and more chanting, even though there's a melody. Is this something that you have noticed, and is it something that you can comment on?
I'm not an expert on this, but having gone to Thrangu Tashi Choling Monastery and listening, you know, and my review teacher for Tibetan, they tend to sing very low. And also our traditional teacher did that too. And the nuns, I wrote that last mantra as it sounds, you know, which is a very low for female voice, is very low. But I would say that I observed that there is a sense of melody, maybe a lighter melody than not. But I don't know. I would have to look into that. That's a good, and you're a singer, so yeah. And when we would do the chants in Champa's class, I always found singing it really low was difficult for me. I'm an alto, but it was difficult for me. But so I would bring it up just a wee bit. Yeah. So thanks for that question. I don't want to make any distinction between male and female. Keeping with Green Tara. Yes, sir.
Can you say a little bit about where those instruments came from?
Oh, that is something that I forgot to add. Thank you for that. Because let me just take a look in my notes, because I sort of skipped over that and I didn't mean to. Now, and two, within the instruments, there are all kinds of different drums, cymbals, bells, horns, and the like. But Ter Ellingson, back in the 70s, believed that some of the instruments came from Tantric Buddhist practice in India and Tibetan Bon practice. So, but other scholars suggest China as the source of the instruments. But as you well know, in most other practices of Buddhism, you've got gongs and you've got bells and wood blocks and the like, but you don't have these wind instruments, which myself, this is an opinion, it's not based on scholarship, but that the use of the air and the body like that has a great deal of spiritual significance, putting the body into it. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. I play trumpet and flute, and it's very grounding, particularly the flute, because there's such a direct connection. I think they're called mansuri here, the transverse flute, and it's bamboo, and it's just like, it's so earthy. You really have to get your breath into it, and it's a very kind of unifying kind of experience.
Yeah.
Are most of these written in a certain key? Are they written in different keys? Are they written in Western keys?
Well, just whatever they choose, because what I've been doing is, and two, I transcribed the chants that we learned in traditional class with Champa, and it just depended on the day he made the recording.
What he was hearing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So it's not prescribed in terms of like a certain text, like
no.
This kind of Mahakala should be in B flat, and it should
correct. And that's another thing that I forgot to say. Thank you for bringing this up. You're my ringer. Thanks. Yeah. And ritual chant is normally learned by rote. Is that correct? My monks, you learn the chant by rote, by pretty much. Yeah, you learn it by someone else teaching you how to sing it. Is that true?
Yes.
The chanting. Yeah, the omse. Yes. But there's no written notation, is there? Yes. There's a lineage. Yes. And I read too that for some instruments, there is a type of notation that's more like curved lines to indicate more rhythm and that type of thing, but not the actual pitch, like what we're used to in Western music. Yeah. And for example, at Thrangu Tara Abbey, some of like the Green Tara mantra, that is distinctly theirs. At Tek Choling, it's a different tune. And and it's a lot to do with lineage. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to dwell on this, but like the what's the instrument called with the holes in the double reed? Like you said, it's like
That's a gyaling.
okay, so that must be set in a certain key. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, because it was an F, the first thing they did, and they went up a scale.
I'm just curious because
Yeah. I don't know if that's how they're made. I would have to talk to some of the instrument makers. That's a very, do you know? No? Yeah, yeah. So that's a great question. I appreciate that. Having other musicians around, that's it's one way of thinking.
I've been listening to blues and jazz and Jimi Hendrix since I was a teenager. So I've always loved music.
Yeah.
And then sometimes around the stupa, especially the full moon, they'll play like protector chants from I think it's
Yeah.
Thrangu's monastery. And every once in a while it's really amazing. And you're like, well, like what is that? Like, did someone write that? Is that, where does that come from? And what are they playing? And how are they playing it? Are those notes written out? And
Yeah. And
I'm just really intrigued. So
yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. Thank you.
From the Czech Republic, or Czechia, as we call it, in Central Europe.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for the talk. I was wondering, maybe I went away with my attention for a moment, but I think you said basically that the chants are monodic.
Monophonic.
And that
a single melody line. Yeah.
There are just maybe some diversions due to inapt singing. I have always had the impression from listening to Tibetan monastic chants that something more is happening there, like that those diversions from the main melody line that appear in some voices, they seem to be intentional, at least some type of heterophony, or even actually an maybe unacknowledged primitive polyphony. Did you look into this in such a way or not?
I have not, but I think that that's a great question for the Umse, because what I noticed, especially this last time, because she of course wears a microphone, and I was hearing open fifths, parallel fifths. And so I don't know if that was deliberate or if it's like our choir director would say, bring it up, So thank you for that, because that's a question I'll raise with her, because it didn't sound in unison. It did not sound like monophonic singing. It almost sounded like it was intentional. And it could be just someone not being able to match pitch, but I'm just guessing with that. So don't take that as any.
I think it happens in many chants, like as I know from recordings or even visiting monasteries. So there must be something, but the question is whether the people actually know that they are doing it, or they just do it so that it sounds like they used to hear it.
That's really a good question, because I study Gregorian chant, and that definitely is kept monophonic, and the monks and nuns really had to adhere to the notes, and that's notated too in the neumes that come from the Middle Ages. So, and it's actually notated, and so they really had to stick with the notes. Oh, could you, our venerables here, do sometimes the chants or not? And thank you so much, Jacob. It sounds sometimes in the chant that somebody's singing a different note. Why does that happen? Is it they just don't know the right note? Yeah.
Specifically in the Kagyu monastery, most of the elder monks of the Kagyu, their chanting style, the voice is much thicker.
They go down to that real low.
Yeah. But in the in Karma Kagyu and other traditions, a little bit thinner voice as compared to the Kyutu monks' way of chanting style.
So is it supposed to be all on the same note, the chant? And they just choose to be at a different place?
I'm not sure.
I'm not either. So I'll
Yeah.
have to ask about that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll listen when I go back and listen to my recordings. I'll note where that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yes, ma'am.
I had that come up when I was chanting. My voice can't go that low. So I asked the Kempo, who was the Unsei, can I sing like a half step higher, like harmonize? And he said that's fine. That a lady's voice can be a little higher sometimes, and so that's okay. But the melody has to be all the same.
Okay.
I think that's what I
That's
understood.
a great, thank you for sharing that.
And I had one question.
Yes.
Have you tried layering, like layering their recordings that you make with your organ pipes?
I haven't.
Because then you could have them singing along to your organ, and
Well,
it could be very unique.
for that particular mantra, I made it in the 5 flats because that's what they were singing it in.
Is that what you had posted there in the?
So I wrote it in the same key that they were singing.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it would
do
match
that.
up, right? It would be a cool.
Oh, that would be.
experiment.
Yeah, that is really neat. Thank you. And two, I played these for Umse Dokar Lama, and she said, "Oh, will you send these to me?" And so today I sent them to her, and her thank you back was all kinds of, it was red and it was all kinds of hearts. So she must have liked it. Yeah, because I'm sure that they probably haven't heard a pipe organ before. It was really sort of fun to share.
Yeah, I guess I can look this up, but I was just wondering the free blow instruments, like again, what do they represent? Just a reminder.
I don't, well, just a few of them are actually represent that I've been able to find represent something, such as the thigh bone trumpet, which was the last one that I did. The kungling is that literally, now help me out here, all you Tibetan scholars, means leg flute. Does it mean leg flute? Yep. Kungling. Yes. Okay. And it calls all beings to the offered feast and reminds practitioners of impermanence, according to Jeffrey Kupchak. So that has the impermanence. I'll need to do a little more research on the others, but thank you for that, because that gives me homework. And it's really fun to walk through Bodha, and see the craftsmen working on the instruments. And I have a video of somebody who was working on a dungeon. It was really neat to see.
Yeah, and also I was wondering, like, I really like the organ, and also that was an amazing idea to like put it together.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was wondering, like, do you maybe have plans to make more versions? And if so, will they be available at some point?
Oh, now that's interesting. Maybe I need to, do some YouTube. Well, what's interesting is I belong to the American Guild of Organists in our city, and we've got some amazing musicians, and one of them is a composer. He was originally in DC, but has moved to our little city. And I'm going to be giving a presentation on this to the group, and hopefully get some interest from him to maybe think about collaborating on something. Yeah. Because for me, there's such a spiritual impact to it. And I'm so respectful of what I've learned from the nuns. And so to be able to offer that, I've got my pastor here online that probably will say, well, let's hear this prelude on a Sunday. So. Yes, please. Please. I love this. This is great.
I heard from Geshe-la. Yes. So especially in Tibet during those days, in Gelugpa tradition, most of the, especially in the tantric monastery, they during the time of chanting, very thicker voice, like this, like this. During those days, there were no any loudspeaker. So in order to spread the voice to the far distance,
Yes.
so this technique,
Ah,
yeah.
yes.
And then in Tibetan, sometimes it is called zoke, the female yak, what we call?
Yeah, the female yak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Zoke.
It's okay.
Yeah. And even in chanting, I guess there are many levels of different types of chanting.
Mhm.
Some wrathful chanting and peaceful chanting
Yes.
and magnetizing chanting. So
Mhm.
different chanting. So Mahakala's chanting a little bit different.
Yes.
And then some peaceful chanting.
Yeah.
And then even the melody and rhythm is quite different.
And that's what's so beautiful about the sadhana.
Yes, yes.
And it's interesting that Columbus Temple does it, and they sing it just because it's Karma Kagyu, and they sing it just like the nuns. And some of them very beautiful, then the others very fast. So yeah. They're the variety is amazing.
Yeah. The reason why the chanting is done very slow is to remember the meaning of each word being chanted.
Yes.
Yes. So sometimes when you chant very fast, especially in my monastery, even after finishing the dinner at 6 p.m., then every day we used to do the Tara recitation.
Oh yeah.
Tara 21 prayers.
Yes, 21 prayers.
And then the monks do very fast. Om Jai Jai Ma, very fast. Yeah. But actually, it can be done in a very slow motion, in a very beautiful way. Yeah.
And that's one that I'm transcribing because the Umse and the assistant Umse sang the 21 slowly for me. And so I do have the 21 praises in the beautiful melody. I can't sing it for you right now, but yeah. But thank you for that. Thank you very much.
This is from Kishila.
Oh,
Credit goes to him.
Tutashe. Wonderful. No silly questions.
Have you studied, and if you have, sorry, have you noticed any specific differences between, say, Kagyu and Nyingma? I know the Nyingma is the oldest.
That's what I still need to do.
Yeah.
That's still part of my study because I've only done Karma Kagyu, and that is actually a suggestion by my committee, is to observe the differences.
The Kagyu probably has a very strong connection to the Indian Mahasiddha tradition, whereas the Nyingma is quite a bit older, right?
Yes, yes. So that's still to be done. I guess I need to come back.
Come back to
question? Oh, okay. That's Mark. Oops. You can unmute. There you go. Hello, Mark. Where are you coming from?
Hello. I'm in France right now.
Oh, France.
Yes. And thanks for the talk and the conversation. And I really love also the appreciation for music as an offering. So it's really, really good to hear. And I was wondering, as I was listening to some recordings you made, I was noticing that different regions of the body were kind of involved as I was hearing different sounds. And it made me think whether there is also a functional aspect of the intervals in terms of where in the body one wants to evoke emotional patterns or somatic experiences that might be linked to compassionate, for example, action. So do you have any insight on that?
I do not, but that is really a fascinating concept. Because, in the Middle Ages in the West, there was the concept of the music of the spheres, and that there were specific intervals that, there was the devil in music, that you avoided, and certain keys carried with it certain emotional aspects. So, that could be another area of exploration. Yeah, thank you. Do you know anything about it?
Not really. Not not a lot. I just know that there are actually around the monastery. I know that there are people doing like Tibetan bowls, and they have theories about resonance with organs at certain frequencies. So it's kind of more practitioner centric, but I don't know very much of theory of that.
Well, being a musician, a practicing musician, the use of the body is just so important. And whether it's the breath with singing or, you know, the use of the other instruments and everything, it involves the whole body. But what I've taken away from this is the offering. Because I come from a, you know, tradition going to music school that it's very competitive and it's about performing, and it's really refreshing to step back and realize what is given as an offering. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for monks, Geshe-la, to have come. It's really nice to have monastics among us to talk about this and clarify a few points. We welcome you in October 15th, 22nd, and 29th. There'll be 3 more talks, so please come. Good night, everybody.
Good night.